Hello, I'm Dave and this is Logan, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're at the village of Downton in Wiltshire. It's very close to the Hampshire border, located about 6 miles southeast of Salisbury. And we're going to be walking a roughly 6-mile circular route. We'll have a look at a few things in Downton, then head north close to the route of a disused railway line up to Trafalgar Park, and then we'll head west across the River Avon to Charlton All Saints, and then we'll pick up the Avon Valley Trail and head south back to Downton. Now I'm filming in the middle of February. It is a bitterly cold day. I mean, the sun is out, but it's about 3 degrees. We're pretty well wrapped up. Logan's shivering at the moment, so we need to kick on. He'll soon warm up. Now I've parked my car on the sort of eastern side of Downton, very close to something called the Downton Moot. Speaking of which, let me tell you a little bit about it, because we're actually starting the walk at the Moot. Now originally there was a Motte Bailey Castle built here by the Bishop of Winchester in around about 1138. It controlled a crossing over the River Avon nearby, and there was an inner ditch and an outer ditch, although there is some debate as to what exactly was here. But it was all destroyed in 1154 and its history was uncertain, and that was until Moot House, which we'll see shortly, and is on the other side of the road here, was built in 1700. The earthworks were then landscaped in 1725 as a pleasure garden for Moot House, and I think it covers about 8 acres. And there was an amphitheatre, a temple of Mercury, which I think is now gone, and a pond. But in 1972, ownership of the Moot was separated from the house and it became overgrown. And in 1988, local residents created a charitable trust and bought it, and it's now a local amenity. Oh, what a welcome sight. Snowdrops. Surely spring is just round the corner. Wow, just on the sort of western side of the Moot, there's a terrific vantage point up here looking over to Downton down below. There's the old tannery building. We'll see that and a little bit more of Downton towards the end of the walk. And then down below I can just about see the River Avon. I think we can get a bit closer to it shortly. And there's part of the River Avon, or should I say, I think that's actually part of the old mill Leet. The main part of the river is just on the other side of that bank. Well, this is quite idyllic, isn't it? I guess this must be the pond and the remains of a structure at the far end there, looking quite tranquil in the winter sunshine. Wow, look at this, I suppose you'd call it terracing, that leads down to the pond. Beautiful. Well, just opposite the Moot is Moot House. Now, the house was built here in 1650, and by 1773 it was known as Downton House, and then it was later renamed Moot House. But it suffered a severe fire in 1923 and was restored afterwards. What a fascinating place the Downton Moot is. We're going to spend ages exploring around there. But we need to kick on. And we're actually going to initially head out into the countryside. As I say, we'll see a bit more of Downton later on. We're leaving the village, we're going to head northwards, and I'm heading down a little road called the Sidings, and that gives a clue as to what was once here. Indeed, up on the right there, I think that's called Station House. There was indeed once a railway station here. It was built in 1866 and it was on the Salisbury and Dorset Junction Railway, but it all closed down in 1964. But basically we're going to be following the route of the old disused railway for quite a bit on the first part of our journey. Our first little pit stop to take in a view. So this is looking to the north, and the footpath basically runs parallel to the old disused railway line. And then just panning across, this is looking over to the west. I can see a few deer out in the middle of that field, happily grazing away in the winter sunshine. A very peaceful scene it is too. Well, just a little uphill section ahead of us. Now, interesting, if you look at an old map where the railway line continued on this route, there was a tunnel just a few yards on from here. There's no sign of it now, it's long since been filled in. I'll tell you, it really is a fresh winter's day, but as long as you keep moving, it's perfect for walking in. And the views around here, they really are quite stunning. Well, a little update on the route. We've been following the railway track on the western side. We now go underneath a bridge and continuing northwards, but on the eastern side of the track. Well, this is our second bridge of the walk, but this time we go over the old railway line rather than underneath it. And it's as far north as we're going on the walk. From here on we head westwards to our next destination, Trafalgar Park. Well, it's a very impressive red brick building over there, Standlynch House. And we now follow a footpath that's virtually opposite it that goes through into some woodland. Well, this area that I'm sort of walking by is Trafalgar Park, and it was formerly called Standlynch Park. And the manor house here was built in 1733 on the site of an older house, and it was extended in 1766. And in 1814, the nation bought it and gave it to Lord Nelson's heirs, and the name was changed to Trafalgar Park to commemorate Nelson's victory at the Battle of Trafalgar. The Nelson family sold the estate in 1948. Now, Standlynch was once a village, but it reduced in size and the population scattered in the Middle Ages. And I think the two farms here were established when the new house was built. Oh, what a sweet little church. Standlynch Chapel. It was founded in 1147 and then rebuilt in 1677 to become a private chapel to the house. Originally it was called St Mary's, but the dedication changed to St Michael and All Saints in 1914, but it closed in 1947. And it consists of a nave, a chancel, a north vestry and a south porch. And I think it's got one bell, but it all looks as though it's all locked up. But, oh, so pretty. Well, I think this is Standlynch Mill. And a mill was mentioned in 1383, and one was built near here in 1576. But it was rebuilt on this new site in 1697 as a corn mill. And in 1884 it actually housed an engine that pumped water to Trafalgar House, and the mill remained in use until 1907. And this is where we join up with an old friend of ours, the River Avon. It's 60 miles long. It's got a couple of sources. The western arm, which starts just east of Devizes, and then the eastern arm, which starts just east of Pewsey. And the two arms meet up at Upavon and flow through Salisbury, and then south out to sea at Christchurch. And looking quite serene today. Well, I don't think this is going to be a good day for a dog-dit fella. No, he says it's a bit chilly. Maybe later on in the year. Well, parts of the river look quite serene, but other parts it's flowing pretty fast. I suppose it is the winter after all. Well, we've crossed over the River Avon and we're just about to head into our next little village, Charlton All Saints. And it gets its name from, well, Cheall or something like that, which means free peasant, and ton, farm settlement. The All Saints bit comes from the church. We'll see that shortly. Well, we'll have a little wander through the village. Now look at this house here. It's called the Dairy Farmhouse, but I think it might have been a pub. Certainly if you look on a 1897 map, there was a pub called The Vine, and I think it was located about here, but I might be wrong. Well, this looks like it was the old schoolhouse with a date of, is that 1692 outside? Gorgeous, isn't it? And there's the old Wesleyan chapel, built in 1864. I think it converted to residential status in the 1970s. What a delightful church. So this is the Church of All Saints. It was built in 1851 and it consists of a chancel, a nave, a north transept which was added in 1891 and a south porch. Well, we'll have a little peep inside. Just by the door here is the font, which looks as though it's marble. And then looking up at the little bell cote, I think there are a couple of bells, and a couple of stained glass windows either side. And then coming through the nave, there's a wooden pulpit on the right there, and then into the chancel. So a small row of pews either side, a terrific stained glass window just above the altar, and then just on the side there you can see the organ. Oh, what a charming little village Charlton All Saints is. Right, we're now going to start heading southwards, very much on the homeward journey back to Downton. A bit concerned. I don't think we're going to make it back in time for the pub. It closes at 3 and it's about 2 o'clock now. Trouble is, this time of year you tend not to start filming until 9:30 or 10 because it's too dark. Oh well, we'll see. We might get there in time. And here we are back at Downton. We'll have a look at a few things before we finish the walk. In front of me here is the old tannery mill that was closed in 1998. I think it's now housing and residential homes. Just over the road there, that house there, sorry it looks a bit dark, the sun's beginning to dip now, but it's called Chapel Cottage. I think it shows on an old map as an old chapel. And the building over the road there used to be the King's Arms pub, built in 1628 and rebuilt again in the late 18th century, but it is now closed, no longer a pub. And just over the road there's the old Methodist church with a date of 1884. And there's the Downton village beacon. Okay, I've just come down Church Hatch to look at this lovely church, the Church of St Lawrence. It's actually quite a long church building for a village. Originally there was a Saxon church on the site, but the present church dates from 1147 when the village was owned by the Bishop of Winchester. So the original Saxon nave was extended in 1147, and around about 1200 the rest of the building was demolished and rebuilt. So the chancel was built between 1346 and 1352, the south aisle rebuilt in 1648, and the tower height raised in 1791. There was a big restoration in 1812 and again in 1860. So it's got a sort of cruciform layout. I think the nave's got 5 bays, and I believe it's got 8 main bells and a couple of smaller bells. Okay, well, let's have a look inside. A terrific font just in front of me here, which I believe dates from the 13th century. Look at that window. That's amazing. Just coming through the nave. What a church. I keep wanting to say, wow. I knew it was a long church, but gosh, it's struggling to come up with words for this. So what have we got up on the wall there? Various extracts from Exodus by the looks of things. And there's a magnificent pulpit on the left there. And then just coming through into the chancel, it's like a mini cathedral. And there's the organ on the left-hand side. and then just coming through. I mean, goodness me. I mean, on a day like today with the sun streaming through the windows, isn't that quite beautiful? The window above the altar. Oh, so much about this church that just makes you want to sort of spend more time and explore. Well, just over the wall to the northwest of the church is the manor house. Now, there possibly was a house here in the 9th century. There was certainly a hall house built in the early 14th century, and it had alterations in the 17th and 19th centuries. And this is our final destination, the Wooden Spoon. It was built in 1740 and it shows as the New Inn on a 1901 map. I think it was also known as the Downton Inn at one stage. And seeing as it's open, well, we ought to pop in, purely for research purposes for the video, of course. Well, folks, here we are in the beer garden of the Wooden Spoon. We just about got there in time before it closed for the afternoon, and testing out their otter. Oh, thumbs up from me. I'm afraid they haven't got pipers, but they've got walkers, which you don't mind those. Well, we hope you enjoyed our walk today. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment, and do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countryside Walks. Always put a copy of the route map there. We've had a super walk today. It was lovely to see the sun again. So until we meet again, thanks for watching, and cheerio. Good boy. Another one. Here we go.